Hi, this is Steve Sonnenberg with Awardco. We are going to begin the presentation soon. Okay, this is Steve Sonnenberg with Awardco. We're going to begin the presentation in about 30 seconds. Okay, hello everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. So we at Awardco are excited today to be joining up with Jill Christensen, who is going to be taking over the first part of today's webinar. Those of you who do not know Jill, she is a world-renowned author as well as speaker. Very, one of the top engagement specialists in the world actually today. So we're excited to be joining with her and partnering with her in different areas. So she'll be talking for a little while. One of the things we're excited about is that we're going to be giving away 150 of her books today. So at the end of this, many of you, or I guess some of you, 150 of you, will receive an email confirming just shipping address, asking you guys to send us over your shipping address so that we can get that shipped out quickly. Hoping to get those shipped out by the end of this week. So if you could respond quickly, that'd be awesome. It's the book that we'll be talking about today. If not you, who? And so Jill will spend a lot of time talking about that. She works with many Fortune 500 companies, as well as has been an executive with some of those. Another thing logistical thing to bring up as we're getting started today is if you have questions, chat them in. We will get to those. There'll be two different times we go over questions. If something comes in that's really, pertinent to the topic that we're talking about, we will stop and address that. But expect to get to those questions at the halfway mark and then at the end of the call today. So we'll get to those questions as they come in. So just chat those over and we'll make sure that they're addressed. So again, excited to have Jill. My name is Judd. We're on the Awardco team, Judd Tolman. And then Steve Sonnenberg will be presenting after Jill. He is the CEO and founder of Awardco, and he will tell the story about who we are and what we do. So we're excited to dive right into it. So Jill, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Amazon, the New York Yankees, Netflix, the New England Patriots, Apple, the Los Angeles Lakers. What do these organizations have in common? They win. And why do they win? They win because they have employees who trust leaders, who feel an emotional connection to the organization, and who will stop at nothing to ensure the people who they serve, the customers and their fans, are delighted. In short, these organizations win because their employees are engaged. When you have an amazing culture and your employees are engaged, their performance absolutely skyrockets and everyone benefits. Your customers, your clients, all of the other employees, your leaders, your vendors, the board of directors, your shareholders, the communities in which you live and serve. In addition, we know that company success is assured as organizations with the highest levels of employee engagement outperform their peers 147% in earnings per share and have a 90% better growth trend than their competition. However, here's the major challenge that organizations face. They mistakenly think that they can outsource employee engagement to human resources and magically achieve these extraordinary results. The flaw in this logic, although HR owns employee engagement in 95% of organizations around the world, it doesn't own the people who have the greatest impact on employee engagement, and that's your frontline managers. Your CEO owns your frontline managers and can get them to do things that HR cannot. It's just the truth. And for this reason, in order to drive massive levels of employee engagement, You must engage your CEO, who will engage your managers in your culture change journey. Trust me when I tell you, you can succeed in this space if you approach employee engagement as a team. However, you won't succeed if HR is the only player on the team. And my guess is that's how many of you have been approaching it up to this point. So I'd love to ask, how's that working for you? Today, you're going to leave here knowing 4 critical things: what employee engagement is, why traditional approaches will not move the needle, a new approach that will, and the critical role that recognition plays in your success. So moving on to the next slide. Judd, if you could forward that, my arrow is no longer there. Thank you. So I always like to begin by getting everyone on the same page. What exactly is employee engagement? When your employees are engaged, it means they trust your senior leaders and they feel an emotional connection to your company. And because of this, they go above and beyond the call of duty and give you a lot of discretionary effort. And that's why employee engagement matters. Your employees go to work every single day and they have a choice. They can give you 110% discretionary effort, or they can give you scraps. How an employee is treated and the culture in which they are being asked to do their job has a major bearing on the choice that they make. So a few minutes ago, I shared that you can succeed if you approach employee engagement as a team, and you won't succeed if HR is the only player on the team. So a great example of a team, Dorothy and her friends from The Wizard of Oz. This group went above and beyond the call of duty, and their discretionary effort was absolutely second to none. They were stalked by the Wicked Witch of the West, Toto the dog was kidnapped, they were ambushed by winged monkeys, and they were drugged in a poppy field. Does this sound like a typical day in your office? Yet through it all, they did not stop until they achieved their goal. Why? Because they were engaged. They trusted the person giving them direction, Glinda the Good Witch, and they felt an emotional connection to their mission to make it to Oz and get Dorothy back to Kansas. So reams of data exist showing that engaged workers sell more, they provide better customer service, they make fewer mistakes, they stay longer, they're more creative, they're great ambassadors for your brand, and they tend to recommend your company as a fantastic employer to their family and friends. But even though we have all of this powerful, powerful data about the benefits of having an engaged workforce, companies are still failing. Moving on to the next slide. How bad is it? It's absolutely dismal. According to Gallup, only 13% of global workers say that they are engaged. In the United States, we have 30% of employees who are engaged. The remainder, 2/3 of the American workforce, they're basically sleepwalking through their day. So they're putting in time, but no energy, passion, or creativity into their work. They don't trust your leaders. They're not emotionally connected to your organization. They're not going above and beyond the call of duty, and they give you zero discretionary effort. Which industries have the highest levels of employee disengagement? IT, retail, healthcare, and hospitality. Hospitality are our hotels and restaurants. We know that if a hotel does not have an extraordinary culture, your housekeeper will leave for a 10-cent increase. Turnover among housekeepers is 93%. Turnover among nurses, 75%. I can assure you that employee disengagement does not happen overnight. Every one of your employees showed up for their first day of work willing to give you everything they had, willing to go above and beyond the call of duty. But little by little, our dysfunctional workplace cultures chip away at people's spirits over time. And what does it mean when the vast majority of your employees are disengaged and have checked out? It looks like decreased productivity, creativity, customer satisfaction and retention, increased absenteeism, theft, safety, and quality issues. And the granddaddy of them all, and the thing that your senior leaders care about the most, it shows up as stagnant or decreased profitable revenue growth. Because we know there's a direct correlation between employee engagement and bottom line results. The most profitable companies in the world and the companies that are growing the fastest have the highest levels of employee engagement. And so Gallup conducted the first State of the American Workplace survey approximately 3 decades ago to measure employee engagement among American workers. They conduct the survey every year in the fall, and no progress has been made. So the number in 2018 was the number in 2008, was the number in 1998, was the number in 1988. So in spite of the fact that organizations are spending billions of dollars trying to create amazing workplace cultures, and despite the fact that 87% of C-suite executives say that employee disengagement poses a real threat to their bottom line, dysfunctional workplace cultures still reign supreme. So the huge question on the table is why? As I said earlier, based on all of the research that I have conducted, no progress has been made because traditional approaches cannot move the needle, yet they are still embraced by the vast majority of organizations around the globe. And what is the most popular traditional approach to improve employee engagement? Senior leaders outsource culture change to HR. I repeat, no progress has been made because senior leaders outsource culture change to HR. And this is not at all a dig against human resources. Strategic HR people are wonderful. However, as we already discovered, although HR owns culture change, it doesn't own the people who have the greatest impact on culture change, your frontline managers. So if we're no longer going to look to HR to fix every broken culture in the world on their own, what is a new and innovative approach that actually will enable you to drive massive levels of employee engagement and create a culture that nobody can imagine leaving? Moving on to the next slide, the answer to that question is this. Your senior leaders must get involved in and champion your employee engagement strategy. How do you get your leaders to engage in employee engagement when they think this is something that human resources should own? Data. Executives absolutely love numbers. They love them. They eat them up. Why? Because you don't get to be an executive without learning a thing or two about numbers. Executives have to present numbers to their boards all of the time, and they're judged on their ability to ensure the numbers are directionally correct. Now, if you work for a nonprofit and you're thinking, Jill, our numbers really don't matter, we're not for profit. What I have to say to that is, you might not be for profit, but you're also not for loss. In order to keep your doors open, be it a nonprofit, a private company, a family-owned business, a public firm, you have to make sure your numbers stay in the black. And your senior leaders know this more than anybody. So what you need to do to engage your senior leaders in employee engagement is to gather all of the compelling data that you can get your hands on, which shows the correlation between employee engagement and profitable revenue growth, and have the critical conversation with your CEO. Savvy leaders will get it, and they will agree to partner with you. I have created a postcard that includes all of this compelling data. It is posted in this webinar on the right-hand panel in the resources section. And so you can click on that PowerPoint link, print out this page, and that is all of the data that you need to start the conversation with your CEO. Then once your CEO is on board, he or she is going to need to communicate to your frontline managers specific actions that they need to take in 4 key areas to re-engage employees. Why these 4 areas? Because these 4 areas are proven to drive trust in senior leadership and the emotional connection employees have to your company. Notice that I specifically call this model a strategy versus a program or an initiative. If you call it a program, your employees will view it negatively because they'll think it's the latest program du jour. Here one day, gone the next. In order for your employees to believe, I mean really believe, that you are serious about re-engaging them, you must execute on a strategy that fundamentally shifts how you operate on a day-to-day basis. And you know, a lot of people say to me, Jill, employee engagement is so difficult. But the truth is, it's not difficult. The definition of culture is how we do things here. So in order for you to change your culture and re-engage your employees, you simply need to do things here differently tomorrow than you're doing here today. It truly is that simple. But someone in your organization needs to get the ball rolling on this. And I can't think of a better person than you. As the title of my book reads, if not you, who? When you signed up to be an employee, you signed up for a huge responsibility to ensure your organization succeeds. The quickest path to that goal is to re-engage your most valuable asset, your people, because we know that your engaged employees give you blood, sweat, and tears, and your disengaged employees give you scraps. It's the absolute truth. And for this reason, your disengaged employees offer you the greatest untapped potential for you to improve productivity, profitability, and performance, period. But before we focus on the 4 key areas that are proven to drive employee engagement, let's talk about what it looks like when you have a crappy, dysfunctional workplace culture. So moving on to the next slide. The image in the white bubble is otherwise known as a flying monkey, a bad leader, or a bad manager. Who was absolutely terrorized when, as a child, you were watching The Wizard of Oz and the flying monkeys descended out of the castle and they picked up Toto and they brought him into the woods and they were stalking Dorothy and her other friends, right? It was absolutely terrifying. How many of you have worked for a flying monkey? I cannot see all of your hands, but my guess is every hand on the webinar is up, every single head is shaking, because the truth of the matter is we've all worked for a bad manager or a bad leader. My friends, this is not a stretch. When employees don't trust leaders, when they don't trust managers, they go to work every day feeling like they are under attack, a black cloud hangs over their head, and they respond by disengaging. However, it doesn't have to be this way. If you embrace a new and innovative approach, if you enroll your CEO in your employee engagement journey, you will be halfway to cracking the code to employee disengagement. So on to the next slide. We can see that the first half of the strategy is getting your leaders involved. The second half of the strategy includes the 4 areas where your managers need to focus their efforts. And at this point, you might be thinking, Jill, how can there be one model to re-engage employees in every industry, in every generation of worker, in every country, since everyone is different? And my response, everyone is not different. Every one of your employees is a human being, and at their core, human beings are wired similarly. For the most part, what engages and inspires me engages and inspires you. And what deflates and discourages me deflates and discourages you. Bottom line, in order to re-engage your employees, you need to fulfill their basic human needs. It's that straightforward. And so what does engage and inspire the vast majority of people? This. Bubble number 1, get the right person in every chair. Every person in the world wants to work for a company whose leaders have the confidence and courage to make great hiring decisions and to remove people from the organization who are not pulling their weight, meaning they're incompetent at their job, or who have a toxic negative attitude. Yes, you do need to try to develop and grow and train these people to be the employee that you need them to be. But if you have people who are incompetent at their job and they are not improving, or people who have a toxic negative attitude, you need to ensure that you've got leaders in place who have the confidence and courage to deal with these people. And if they don't improve, to remove them from your organization. Everybody is looking for your leaders to do that. Bubble 2, goal alignment. Every person in the world wants to know that what they do every day has meaning, adds value, and is making a difference. People want to be connected to something bigger than themselves. So if you write individual objectives for your employees that are written based off of your CEO's objectives, you will ensure that everybody can see a line of sight between where they sit in their organization and where the organization is going. You will ensure that everybody is aligned and marching in the same direction, working on a handful of key goals that your CEO has set that are aligned with your mission, that are aligned with your vision, that are aligned with why you exist as an organization. This causes people to see, again, a line of sight between where they are in the organization and where the organization is going, and it causes them to feel a deep emotional connection to the organization. It's subconscious. They don't even realize it's happening. Bubble 3, build a two-way communication culture. Every person in the world wants to know that they have a voice at work and their voice is being heard. So you must create vehicles and mechanisms that enable your employees to speak up and to share their ideas and concerns. If you have the right person in every chair, you have a lot of really smart people working for you, and they've got great ideas. They know what's working in your organization. They know what's not. They know what process needs to be fixed. They know what your customers are thinking. They probably have great ideas for new products and services. But unless you tap into their thoughts and ideas, unless you give them a voice and let them know that their voice is being heard, you won't find all of this information because it's not human nature to speak up. So as an organization, you need to create two-way communication vehicles where you're having a conversation with your people and not just pushing content out to them. And last but not least, bubble number 4, recognition. Your employees want to be acknowledged and feel appreciated for their contributions. This is about you creating an environment of rampant recognition where it's easy and simple for employees to recognize one another, because we know that when it's easy, simple, and people can choose recognition items that are meaningful to them, you end up with a recognition program that actually works. And that is why I am so honored to be partnering with Awardco today. They have a simple recognition platform which enables employees to choose meaningful recognition items on Amazon thanks to their partnership with Amazon Business. Their interactive platform is comprehensive, user-friendly, and intuitive, and we all know that employees who are recognized are more engaged. So take it away, Steve, with the demo.
All right.
And before we do that, Jill, real quick, just want to touch on a couple questions that came in on some of the things that you talked about. So one, just a logistical questions. Will you be sharing the slides as a follow-up?
Absolutely, we can share the slides with everyone on the call.
Great, perfect. And then one question that was asked is the data that was pulled in on the handout, was somebody asked what year was that sent out? Is that something leadership will be asking?
So I don't have years on the postcard, but as you can see, I have sources. So I have the data point and where the data point came from. So if a person would like, they can reach out to me and I can pull years for that data. I do believe it is current because whenever I pull data for any of my presentations, I make sure that it's the most recent data out there. And then Steve, I don't know if this question was asked, but it's the number one question that I receive. Lots of people say to me, Jill, what if the CEO is a flying monkey? And so what if the CEO doesn't get it? What if our CEO doesn't believe in employee engagement and creating an amazing workplace culture? And what I guide people to do is then find somebody else in the C-suite, find somebody else on your senior leadership team who you know gets it, who you know is passionate about employees, who you know understands the importance of creating an amazing workplace culture, and get them on board. Partner with them. The only person you should not be targeting in the C-suite is your CHRO or your Chief Human Resources Officer, because if you target that person, then once again, Human Resources is owning and championing your employee engagement journey.
Great, great. Now, one last question. Theoretically, this is a question that came in. Theoretically, everybody would like to get the right person in the right chair. However, it is seen that is almost impossible to always have every chair filled with the right person. What is the suggestion that you have or things that you've seen work, Jill, to help combat that challenge of the musical chairs that happens within organizations?
Exactly. So this is about whoever owns your employee engagement journey, needs to bring all of your managers together and say to them, we need you to focus your efforts in these 4 key areas because we know they drive trust in leaders and the emotional connection that people feel to our organization. And in terms of getting the right person in every chair, we know that when there is somebody who is in the wrong chair in our organization, every single employee around that person knows it. And do you know what they're thinking? Why isn't senior leadership doing anything about this? And so when we allow a person to stay in their chair and they don't belong in their chair, you are driving active employee disengagement because you're causing your engaged workers to question why leadership isn't stepping up and developing and training this person. And if they don't improve, removing them from the company. And that is such a critical point, removing them from the company. If you take a dysfunctional employee or a person with a really bad toxic attitude and move them from marketing to sales, or move them from IT into services, you are rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. The truth of the matter is, everybody is doing their best, but sometimes a person's best isn't good enough. On sports teams, they cut people all the time, and we don't bat an eye. We just understand that it wasn't a good fit, and it's in the best interest of the individual and of the organization to break up and to remove that person from the ranks. And trust me when I tell you, when a person is in the wrong chair, they know it. Many times they're going home every single night and wondering when they're going to get found out. And so you are actually not only doing your organization a favor, you are doing the employee in question a favor, because a person knows when they're not in the right chair, as well as every single employee around them. And so it's up to you to say to your managers, as a leader of people, as an extension of the senior leadership team, you need to identify all of the people on your team that are not pulling their weight or who have a toxic attitude, put them on a performance plan, help them develop, help them learn, help them grow. But if they can't in a finite time frame, they need to be removed from the company. That's what strong leaders do. Strong leaders have the confidence and courage to make the right decisions that are in the best interests of the organization.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Jill. One last question on this, and then we'll jump into the recognition with Steve. But one other question is, it was asked, could you elaborate and talk a little bit more about the concept of two-way communication, of a two-way communication culture?
Absolutely. So again, lots of organizations push communications and content out to their employees, but they never engage in a conversation with their people about what they think, what are their hopes, dreams, and wishes. And another thing that we see show up very low on employee engagement survey scores many times, one of the lowest ranking questions for many companies is, I have a say in the decisions that affect me. People want to know that they have a voice and their voice is heard. One of the easiest ways to create a two-way communication culture is to conduct focus groups. So a focus group is when you bring approximately 8 to 10 employees together and you say something like, and again, you bring together 8 to 10 employees, but you can bring together 30 groups of 8 to 10 employees. You say something like, we think we may change our benefits plan next year. We would love to hear your thoughts. What are you using in the current plan? What benefits do we not have that you'd love to see? What do you like about the current plan? What do you not like about the current plan? You gather employees' feedback, input. What are they thinking? Trust me when I tell you, when you roll out that new benefits plan next year, rather than saying, here's the new benefits plan, then you can say, you spoke, we listened. We heard what you had to say about the new benefits provider. Here's the benefits that you're now going to receive, and here are the benefits that you're not going to receive and why. Employees completely get it. They are rational. If you ask them what they think, and then you explain to them why you've made the decision that they've made, you don't have to execute on every single thing you heard from them. If you say, we heard you, and here's what we decided and why, it's the context of that why that really resonates with people. People will then understand that they didn't just go into a corner office and make the decision about a benefits plan that impacts me. They actually took the time to listen to me, to hear us out, and to gather our opinions and our thoughts and our ideas. That is how you create a two-way communication culture. And for every major decision that's made in your organization, you can conduct a focus group and gather your employees' feedback prior to that decision being made. Trust me when I tell you, your decisions are going to go over in your organization a lot better, and people are going to feel like they have a voice. And when people feel like they have a voice, they begin to retrust senior leaders, and they begin to reform that emotional connection to the organization.
Great, thank you. And as mentioned at the beginning, the book will talk a lot more about this. Jill's done an awesome job explaining this at a high level. In 30 minutes, it's obviously pretty quick, but the concepts are true, and we're excited to talk a little bit more about one of those. Now, on the Awardco perspective, we are focused on the recognition piece. Of those 4 pillars that Jill talked about, the one that we will focus on today is recognition. That is where Awardco lives and is spent, that's where we focus as an organization. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve, talk a little bit about Awardco. He is the CEO and founder, so talk about the story and where we came from and some of the ways we work with organizations.
Thank you, Judd. Yeah, this is Steve Sonnenberg. It's good. Appreciate this opportunity to talk about Awardco, to present with Jill. Thank you, Jill, for your knowledge and for the things that you shared.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm going to be focusing on the recognition side, and my father has been involved with the employee recognition industry for the last 40 plus years. I grew up watching him. Do primarily service awards, and he had a closet full of samples, and he would have the mantle clocks, the fishing poles, the binoculars, and I would always be getting in them and using them, and he was always getting in trouble, but so I understood the space, and I understood what he was doing, and the plan. He was an independent rep. I was going to inherit his accounts or take them over and continue the Sonnenberg legacy, but I didn't care for that type of model. I'm a computer science major, and I thought there has to be a better way. And so in 2011, I said, I want to integrate. I want to partner with Amazon. There has to be a way. And because they are the leader and they have hundreds of millions of items, and people want choices when it comes to rewards, when they're recognized and they have an option to redeem something. When it's not a great award, it does the opposite, and it's very negative for the employee. So the whole goal was to integrate with Amazon. What you see here on the screen, we have an integration directly with Amazon. Hundreds of millions of choices stream onto the Awardco platform directly from Amazon. Now, at first, when I contacted Amazon in 2011, I said, "Hey, I got this great idea. We should do it. Trust me, the recognition. There's tons of great recognition companies out there, kind of with old school models. There's just a great opportunity for us." And they said, in short, no. But if you want to, maybe you can send a letter to this address. I think it was like in Texas. It wasn't even Seattle. So there wasn't a chance I was going to write a proposal and a letter. So what we did, my cousin is my other partner, we went ahead and built it anyways. We had access to their data, and we can build it to what you're seeing today. And so we just really believed in offering better award choices for the younger generation. And then 2011, 2015, we started signing up accounts. We would manually fulfill orders for people on their own Amazon.com accounts. It's a lot better than warehousing, so it's still a step in the right direction, but it wasn't automated. The problem was we were growing so fast, and large companies wanted to use Amazon for the recognition programs, that we were shutting down Amazon accounts left and right, because you can't just open up an Amazon account, process hundreds of thousands of dollars a month through it without a fraud alert going or hitting. So that was a challenge for us, but we were building accounts and we were working through it, and then in 2015, Amazon calls up and says, "Hey, what are you guys doing? And come out and let's talk." And so I went out there and presented Awardco at a big boardroom with a bunch of executives, and they just loved Awardco. And they went on to tell me that they just launched a new entity called Amazon Business. This fits really well with Amazon Business. We can have different controls. We can make sure accounts don't get shut down. We can tag them with a business. We can also automate the ordering process, and that was huge for us. So when an order comes through now, so what you see here, you see this Vitamix, and if someone were to purchase this item, and they hit add to cart, and they proceed to check out, and they can add an address, and it's as simple as what I'm showing you on the screen today to order something on Awardco, and they place the order, the item is sent to Amazon in real time. So it goes into Amazon's world-class fulfillment center, and depending on the location of the employee, they might receive this the next day. We do in the U.S. and Germany and Japan. There's Amazon Business, so there's 2-day free shipping options available, and many free shipping solutions around the world if it meets a certain threshold. And so it's just what it's doing. This type of model it's just giving the younger generation more choices. It's becoming more fun. They know Amazon, and when you can tie your rewards and recognition platform to a great organization like Amazon, the engagement level goes through the roof. The redemptions go up. You have an effective recognition program. And so just wanted to tell a little story about that, how it came to be. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of gut. We believed in it, and we couldn't have a better partner to this day. As of last year, Awardco entered into a partnership with Amazon Business, and together we have a goal to make the recognition and incentive space a better and more engaging for employees. So that's just one example. I'm showing you kind of the redemption side, but just it's phenomenal seeing what people are getting. There's over hundreds of millions of choices. You got the portable saunas. You didn't know products existed until you give employees access and they can find whatever they want. I saw something kind of crazy, which is every kid's dream. Oops, spelled that wrong. So cereal marshmallows. Saw that come through the other day, where you can literally get a whole box of marshmallows. What instead of what is it, Lucky Charms, and but anyway, so it's a lot of fun what you can do, and there was one other thing I wanted to point out that I thought was kind of fun was a llamacorn. Didn't know this existed, but here's a llamacorn and a cat on a llamacorn with UFOs. And anyway, so it's a lot of fun seeing what employees can do and get, and they're having fun with it. So one of the things that one of the goals of Awardco is to provide the ultimate award network. And so we feel like we've done that with Amazon. We also integrate with other great vendors, such as hotels. You can get hotels on Awardco. This is all module based, so you can you can pick where you want to go. Just kind of show you a quick example. But if you don't want to offer hotels on your platform, you can turn it off. And so we have a lot of groups that just offer Amazon, and that's it. But I wanted to show you kind of that. You can also get tickets on our platform, event tickets. You can search by state. Here's Hamilton in Texas, for example, and it lets you kind of know what section you're going to be in. We bring in all the venue maps so you can see exactly where they're going to be. We also have e-gift cards. So probably the largest selection, one of the largest selections that I know of, because we've partnered with many groups here, but there's no markup on the points. You'll notice that the absolute lowest you can get is in this example, it's $1 equals 1 point. And so people can cash out of their points. You don't even have to call it points. Some people call it bucks, service bucks. They can call it coins. We give you the flexibility within Awardco to customize this for you. And then, of course, we have virtual prepaid visas, and you can actually do a custom catalog. You can do PTO, things like that we've seen. That's been a lot of fun. Now, Awardco doesn't mark up products at all, so we don't care. We want you to put in an incredible offering for your employees, and we want you to reward your employees, not your vendors. And so your budget goes toward your employees. So that's one way Awardco is helping solve disengagement with recognition programs, is making a incredible catalog with choices, with no markup, and oftentimes free shipping, saving you as the organization a ton of money. So that is the redemption piece. I want to talk a little bit about how you actually recognize on Awardco. I'm a big believer that you need to make it simple. If you don't make recognition simple, if you make it hard, where they have to ask a bunch of questions and you add a ton of rules in there, it oftentimes doesn't work. Now, sure, Awardco is an enterprise type platform. We do have the ability to do approval processes and multi-step approvals and nomination programs, but we really want to design it in a simple, easy way. So we work with you to make sure and use best practices to give you ideas to make it simple. Now, when you reward, well, historically, most organizations I've worked with build recognition programs around tenure, retirement, and performance, which is all good, but it can be better. It can be more, and there's a key ingredient oftentimes not added to the overall recognition strategy, and it's recognizing behaviors tied to core values. Now, company values have a powerful influence on the employee's experience. Research has shown that employees who know and fully understand organizational values are 51 times more likely to be engaged than those who don't. And I found that statistic very interesting, and we took it to heart here at Awardco, where we recognize based on our values. And let me give you an example. So if I'm going to come in here and I'm going to recognize somebody, I'm going to type in Judd. And you can recognize more than one person if you like. And I'm just going to say, hey, thanks for helping me with the webinar today. And you can go on and on and on. And now you're going to tag it based on the values. Here are our values: customers, flexibility, goals, innovation, simplicity, and transparency. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tag Judd with simplicity here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I can decide to actually pull from a budget. You don't have to. You know, by default, you can just recognize a non-monetary amount. We encourage non-monetary recognition. It's not all about the points. But if you are fortunate enough and you're a manager and you have a budget, you can go ahead and click on a budget. And then you can reward an amount based on your budget. And it's that simple. And if I wanted to go ahead and reward Judd and Anna $10, I can. Now, I'm displaying it in dollars right now, but you have the option to actually display it in points if you want. So there's a lot of customization. So when I hit recognize, Anna, Judd gets an email. They get 10 points, which is $10, and they're encouraged to log in and they're encouraged to log into Awardco and redeem or save up. One of the powerful things with recognition that you notice that people a lot of times like to do ceremonies. People like to be recognized and have their peers be there. And this is the digital version of that. Awardco, by design, is a social platform. Now, we do have controls to turn social off because a lot of organizations aren't ready for that, and so you can to begin. But in this case, it's social, so all the employees will see that I recognize Anna and Judd. They won't see that I gave them 10 points. That's hidden between just the people in that transaction. But people can come here and can go ahead and use emojis. They can do certain reactions. They can comment. Like for those that might not have a computer, if, for example, Anna, I know she doesn't have a computer, I just print this recognition and hand it to her. So there's a lot of options that we give. Now, from an executive standpoint, one of the things that I absolutely love is I can come in here and filter and see all the recognitions that are tied to customers, because we're customer obsessed here. And I can quickly just kind of go through and read all the recognition message tied to the value customers. And so executives love this because now they are diving in and getting involved with their employee engagement and recognition programs, because they can easily slice through the data, see what's relevant, and comment and contribute. There's nothing better than a high-level executive going in and commenting and saying, hey, this is amazing, thank you, keep it up. And that will continue to repeat itself as the executives get on board. So those are the two things that I wanted to highlight with Awardco, is recognition needs to be simple for it to work, and you need to have incredible award choices. And that's our goal at Awardco, and that becomes, we've seen these engagement scores come back on recognition programs from the bottom to the top, utilizing some of the things I've talked about. And now Awardco is a technology company. We learn from our customers. And so we've learned that, hey, a lot of people do tenure programs, which is great, but why every 5, 10, 15, why don't we do this more frequently? And the answer coming back all the time was, well, because it's hard and it's time consuming. At Awardco, one of the things we have done in the admin side is we have automated a lot of different things, such as service awards. If you wanted to come in here and create rules based off your service awards, and you want to say every 1 year I want to give 49, I'm saying 49 points here for an example, and I want a specific email to be sent to an employee, and I want the manager to be notified a couple days before, we can actually create these rules ahead of time, and then as we integrate with your HRIS systems, the data will be communicating with these rules, and then we can reward more frequently. We can set some auto recognition. We can recognize off of anniversary. We can recognize off of birthday. We can recognize potentially off of the new hires or 90 days after. I think if you can mix a little automation recognition with training the executives and managers and all the employees how to recognize, it could be a very effective program. So wanted to kind of highlight some of those things that we like to focus on with Awardco. And then one other thing just to add is everyone will have access to their own profile, and so you can see your own recognitions. Based on your values, you can see how many you were recognized. This is just sample data, and you can kind of get a feed of all your recognitions in one area. And you also get all your redemptions in one area as well. And so you can see everything here. One of the things that we do with our redemptions is we provide the tracking code to the employee on items that they purchase. And so it really cuts down on support time. Oftentimes it hits their doorstep before they know, so it comes really fast. But if they ever have a concern or they don't know where it's at, bottom right-hand corner of every site, they can come in here and they can ask us a question. Where's my item? We have tons of agents here. It goes to live chat. You return items through us. We follow a 30-day return policy, just as Amazon has. We want to make it easy for you. So there's a lot more about Awardco that we can go into, but I wanted just to focus on why we created Awardco, a little bit about the background, how it came to be, and some of the things that we believe and how it affects the engagement of the employees. So, and that's all I have at this time.
Questions. So, all right, thanks, Steve. So we've got a couple questions. How do you offer this in Amazon without taxing the employees? So I'm assuming that is referring to service awards and the IRS guidelines that we get there. You'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So with Awardco, what organizations that want to follow the IRS guidelines, we get rid of the gift cards, we get rid of anything non-tangible, and we make it a qualified plan. And so they can pick anything tangible, and then you control what they get per service level. So a qualified service award that's tax-free is someone that is rewarded every 5 years. And so as long as it meets the IRS guidelines, it's under like $1,200 or whatever, $1,500, and it's tangible, then it can meet that guideline. So we configure the platform to get rid of all the non-tangible items. Now, we sometimes get people saying, wow, man, that's still a lot of choices. The IRS has a limited catalog. So we have some groups that actually can and want to be ultra conservative, and they actually create mini Amazon catalogs within Awardco. And so you can do that in the admin area. You can come in here in the settings and you can actually build catalogs. And you can say electronics, and then you can handpick 50 items of electronics if you wanted to go that route. Some people do. Majority of the people like just to have the open Amazon catalog. It is limited. It's not an infinity, but it just depends on how you want to look at it. But that's anything else to add there, Judd?
No, the only other thing I would mention is, related to taxes, this is a conversation that gets brought up very often, and the service awards, safety awards, those are two programs that have been earmarked by the IRS to be favorable both for the employer and employee. They're great. Love to talk about those and the benefits there. Other programs, though, generally speaking, are going to be taxable to the employee as a bonus. And so the benefit there that I would add is, even though it is a taxable benefit, the thing that we continue to see over and over again is the power that recognition actually does have. It is an experience. It is a memory. It is an opportunity for a leader, as Jill was talking about, to engage the employees in a positive way. And that dollar goes a lot further than just a cash bonus into a paycheck. And those are things that go, even though there's a taxable benefit to that, it is something that will last a lot longer than some other means of variable compensation. And we continue to see that over and over again. So that's the only other thing that I would add on that is, spot and performance programs do generally have tax, ramifications or is taxed as imputed income. Okay, Steve, so what about if you don't have enough points? Can your employee pay the difference?
Yeah, great question. Probably number one question asked. Short answer, they can't pay the difference. A lot of complexity comes into that. We don't track whether they put some money in the system and because they'll be taxed on spot recognition, and we don't know what they put in. We just don't account for that. So that's one reason why we don't. The second is we just made it a rule that you can't buy recognition. I know it can be frustrating sometimes because they're so close. They just need a few more points. So a lot of times people have gift card options on. And so the best way to get around that is say, look, if you're short, maybe just get an Amazon gift card and then go purchase the item on your own Amazon account, for example. That seems to work a lot of times. Where it doesn't is if you have a service award, no gift cards, and they're just so close, and that can be frustrating. Now, you can make it as a business rule. We have some organizations that say, you know what, we're okay to extend 10% higher, to give a little wiggle room. And those are just business rules that we create with you upon implementation. So if you want to add that, we can, and then we can, give the surprise to the employee and say, you know what, we got it. We'll just give you a few more points. But those are more business rules that you would create. But by default, they cannot, buy additional points on Awardco. Good question.
The other reason why is, Steve talked about not buying recognition, but we as well, we don't want to be an e-retailer. We want to be somebody that this platform is meant to drive engagement. It is not just meant to go buy, and it's hard to draw the line of where that stops. Yeah. So we have made that decision as an organization. Another question, Steve. So is there an app format for the website for people to use from their phones?
Good question. With the Amazon technology, Amazon doesn't allow people to put their code in an app, so we don't have a native app at this time with Android and the iOS. Anyways, and so we don't, but we just got permission to do so. So we're excited to announce that we're working on a native app. But in the meantime, Awardco is 100% responsive, and it works in any mobile application, mobile browser, and people use it all the time at manufacturing plants, casinos. We have clients all over the world, and so it is responsive. It works. A lot of people will tag the app or the website as a bookmark, and so it's there. We have instructions on that, and so they just click on it, opens up just like it's an app, and so yeah, so not native. But it is web friendly. We did build it to be responsive, and it works perfectly in a mobile device and tablet.
And again, one thing I want to add on this is we've done research as an organization, and what's interesting about an app is it's a very common question, but the majority of the time, what we see is it's a question from the administrative side, and generally speaking, employees are not as worried and actually prefer not to use apps, because everything is done through other means, whether that be email or text message or other means of communication, and then is opened up in their browser. We've heard over and over again that people do not like it taking up storage, so we will be building a native app like Steve talked about. But it has been interesting for us in our findings to learn about the employee perspective there versus the admin perspective. So definitely something to think about on that.
One of the things I did, Judge, for everyone on the screen is I just kind of shrunk my screen. People can kind of see how it's responsive and see how it looks within a mobile application.
Awesome. Okay, Steve, so talked a lot about recognition, how that works. How are you driving impact with both baby boomers and young millennials in the workforce?
How are we driving impact at Awardco? It's kind of, it's a great question. One of the things that we're doing is, with our integration with Amazon and no markups, we're working with a lot of groups and encouraging them to give more to their employees. And we're encouraging them to think outside the box and not just do the traditional recognition programs. We are getting them to do like more reward every year, reward on their birthday, or I should say recognize. Milestones, someone has a baby, recognize them, And as I've shown, Awardco is kind of very simple and almost program agnostic, where you can just simply reward and tag things that you wish. And so because of the simplicity of that and the ease of rewarding, we're getting organizations to, they're increasing their budgets because they're seeing employees satisfied and happy and looking for more ways to be recognized. And so that's one of the ways, is expounding on more opportunities, to giving managers more opportunities to recognize employees, and then allowing them to get incredible items and save up. And we have some groups that reward a healthy amount, where come the holiday season, a lot of people are getting their holiday items on Awardco, and that's a huge benefit for the employee, because they can then say, hey, I don't want to leave, because I'm with this organization that I get incredible rewards, and I can actually get what I want, and I, in fact, got majority of my Christmas presents from. And so we're seeing people loving that, and admins telling us that it's really helping their retention. And so it's really the platform we created, and the kind of thinking ahead what the younger generation wants. We built it, and now we're just getting people to use it. And the more we can get to use it, I think the more we're going to help with retention and engagement. That's how we're doing it.
Awesome. And then the last question that we have, well, we actually have a couple, but this one real quick. We have this a couple times. How much does Awardco cost?
Great question. Great question. So Awardco, we don't mark up anything. People ask, well, how the heck do you make money? Because a lot of our competitors, that's what they do. They mark up things. We have a software license that we base it off of your budget. And a good rule of thumb is we start at 15%. So, if you have a $10,000 budget, and then we're charging $1,500 to use Awardco. Simple as that. Now, the more you spend, $100,000, $15,000 for the Awardco license. $500,000, there's more price breaks. We then take that percentage down, and it can get, as low as, it can go from anywhere from 15 to 7%. And that's how we kind of gauge it. Allows you to kind of, we set it, we lock it in, and so you know what you're paying. So it's one of our values. We're very transparent. You know what the Awardco license is, and then what you reward your employees all goes to them. That's kind of our motto.
Yeah, and we want that to be transparent. We want you guys to understand exactly what that looks like, what we see, just so you understand from a pricing perspective. Because of our relationship with Amazon, and we are able to offer almost exclusively free shipping, we usually see that our software license is relatively similar to what others are paying in shipping. And so it's something that's a huge value add, and we want that to be transparent. We want you to know what that is, and we want your employees to understand the gift that they got is truly dollar for dollar, so there's no reason to have any negative connotation with that gift. So something that we definitely want to make sure is a value for you. Last question that we have on here, and then we'll wrap up, as it's 2 minutes to the hour, is if we worked with many state agencies. This is a very specific vertical question. We do work with state organizations, state agencies. We work with healthcare, manufacturing, food and beverage. We're very industry or vertical agnostic because of what we do and what we're able to offer. We do work in virtually any industry and any vertical, so definitely something we have experience across the board. So anyway, that's the last question. Yeah, we'll have Steve.
Yeah, and then Jill, I'll turn it back to you. If there's any questions we didn't answer, we'll go ahead and get back to you offline. Jill, I'll turn it back to you to close this down.
Perfect, thank you. So again, you can see that there's a handout on your screen. It's called Pyramid. It's a PDF. That includes all of the compelling data that you need to start the conversation with your CEO. Because again, if you are not deliberate about creating an extraordinary culture, you're going to end up with a culture by chance, and it will not be pretty. It will be mediocre at best. And we know that mediocrity does not breed business success. So finally, on behalf of myself and Awardco, we want to thank you for joining us today. You volunteered to be on this webinar, and that tells us that you understand the importance of the role that recognition plays in engaging your employees. And for that, we applaud you. Never, ever doubt yourself or your ability to reach or exceed your engagement goals. You have everything inside of you that you need to succeed. Everything. You have the power. You always did. You just have to go out and unleash it. So thank you, everyone. And again, you'll be receiving a copy of my book. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to either myself or Awardco. We'd be more than happy to support you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
bye.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye.